Welcome, everyone. We will talk about Conclave now, won't we?
Yes.
My favorite part of this movie was when Ray Fiennes stands up in front of everybody and says, "It's Conclave in time." And then after that, Stanley Tucci stands up and he says, "I'm the Tucinator, baby." That was my favorite part of this movie. What was your favorite part?
All the smoking.
All this. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Remember that scene or that shot that they show of dozens and dozens of cigarette butts just on the ground in
yeah,
the courtyard?
yeah. And one of them is vaping.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
pretty good.
Conclave. This movie is about how the Catholic Church appoints a new pope.
Yeah.
Do I need to say more about what it's about?
But it's sort of a political thriller because everybody's sort of vying for power. Some people maybe aren't vying for power. Yeah. So,
I kind of have beef with the fact that they call it a thriller, though.
but it is though.
Like, why can't it just be like a political drama?
Yeah. I mean, sure. But it is sort of wrapped in a mystery because there's things that happen that you're trying to figure out, and you don't know who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth about wanting power, or certain things that they do, denying certain things, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So I don't know. I'm fine with it being called a thriller personally because I was thrilled.
I still think I would classify this as a political drama.
Religious drama, even.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I'm trying to find who the nominees are for the Golden Globes because that just came out. Because I think there's going to be some nominations for Conclave in this year's award season. And it looks like, yes, so it was nominated for Best Picture, Conclave. Do you want to hear the other ones just for fun?
For Best Picture.
Yeah. The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2,
That
Nickel.
came out this year.
Yeah, Nickel Boys, September 5th. I mean, we're getting off track here, but even though I didn't personally love Dune Part 2, I feel like that's the one that probably should win.
Wicked didn't get nominated.
No, but Wicked got nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I'm looking for the actors because I think that we're gonna get some acting nominations in this. Yes. So Ray Fiennes was nominated for Best Actor. The one I was curious about was Isabella Rossellini to see if she did. So Isabella Rossellini got nominated for female actress in a supporting role.
That's the Nun.
Yeah, that really surprises me. She
She
doesn't.
doesn't have a huge role in this movie.
No, I wouldn't have guessed that she would get nominated just because of how little she was in that
Uh
movie.
huh.
But that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if supporting actor. I mean, did I already pass that category? I'm surprised that Stanley Tucci didn't get nominated then.
Well, I wanted you to look up the. I guess I can look it up. The main players in this movie.
Their names.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'll say for this. Like, despite there being a lot of characters and a lot of characters referenced by name as the film goes on, I was never confused who they were talking about ever. Like I always had a picture in my mind of who they were referencing.
See, I didn't.
I
I struggled keeping track of everybody just because I think I got distracted or something. I don't know. I think at some point I just mixed up two of the people and I couldn't unmix them. And that so I struggled with that. But for the most part, it's easy to keep track of everybody. I think I just got lost at some point.
The nice thing is some of the people are separated by nationality. Some of the main key players.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually
Really helpful.
very appreciated because there is Cardinal Tedesco, who is the Italian traditionalist right wing guy, and then is Stanley Tucci Bellini. So that's sort of confusing because that's two Italian names, right? One of them is left wing, one of them is right wing. You just kind of have to remember Tedesco is the right wing guy. But then apart from that, you've got Tremblay, who is American, and then you've got what's the black guy's name?
Ademi.
Adeyemi.
Ademi.
Yeah, so like that does not sound like American English or Italian. So you're like, oh yeah, Adeyemi is the black guy, and then there is a Spanish one who's new, and his name doesn't sound like anyone else's name. Benitez, is that it?
Benitez.
Yeah.
That might be it.
So that's part of what I like it when movies do that. Thank you. Thank you, Conclave, for making it somewhat easy for me to distinguish between the people quickly. So when these conversations happen, I'm not racking my brain trying to remember who they're talking about. I appreciated that. I thought that was well handled.
Okay, let's set the scene real fast of this movie. Okay, the movie starts. The previous pope has just died. The dean of the church, that's what he is, right?
I guess.
Ray Fiennes.
This is, what's his name again?
Lawrence.
Lawrence, that's right.
Which, if you did not watch our review of the menu, the reason you say his name Ray Fiennes, even though his name is Ralph Phineas, what's his left?
It's Fines.
Fiennes, is because he's British.
And Ralph is Rafe.
Rafe.
That's how you say that.
So you're supposed to say a double F.
Yeah.
So it's Rafe Fiennes.
Yeah.
But you say it really fast and it just sounds like Ray Fiennes.
And again, that's just
a fun fact.
Chalk that up to British people being weird. Have you seen the weird eggs that they eat? Weird.
Spotted dick. Is that what it's called?
No, it's like a pickled egg or something.
Well, they have a spotted dick.
Matthew McConaughey orders one, and in The Gentleman, he's like, "Give me a pint and a pickled egg or something." And
I'm sure it's not a spotted dick.
I'm like, that sounds like fresh hell.
I'm pretty sure a spotted dick is a soft boiled egg.
Uh-huh.
And then you wrap it in like ground beef.
How do you wrap it in ground beef?
It's just enclosed in.
Sure.
And then it's breaded and then it's fried.
Entombed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No, it's not that.
Oh, okay.
It's just like a pure egg. It looks like an egg.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway.
Okay. Sorry. Back to setting the scene. The Pope has just died. They have to close off the room for security purposes, and Lawrence has to call in all of the cardinals who are going to help with this
conclave.
And a conclave is basically just the event where they elect a new pope, and it has to be a majority vote.
And they sequester themselves. They're not supposed to be influenced by
the
outside world
influences.
And it takes as long as it takes.
Yeah. And so I was trying to remember during the movie, because I feel like I learned about this in high school, but I don't remember why, that every time they vote, they light a fire in some chimney with a colored smoke. And if it's black smoke, it means that they have not chosen anybody. They did not agree. They're going to continue to vote until they agree.
Yeah.
If it's white smoke that they light off, it means that they have elected somebody. So people will wait outside the Vatican and watch for the smoke to see what's going on. Because again, they're sequestered. Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Like Braden said, the big players are Stanley Tucci, who...
He's one of the front runners at the beginning.
Yeah.
And he's very progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Left wing, let's say.
He wants to have women have a bigger role in the church.
Yeah.
Which was a big deal during this. Like, when he brought it up, even the people supporting him were like, I don't know about that.
I don't know if you should say that. And he's like, I'm going to say what I believe.
Yeah. And one of Stanley Tucci's things at the very beginning is, if you are jockeying for the papacy, that's the right way to say it, right?
Yeah.
Then you're not a good candidate. And he's like, I don't want this. I'm just doing this so Tedesco doesn't get it. Because we don't want him. He will set back the church, what was it, like 100 years?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And he's like, that's not what we want. And so just out of duty, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I think that's a good enough setting the scene.
Yeah.
Right? So then they're sequestered and they start voting.
Yeah.
And all of that.
And for this being like a, it sounds boring, right? It's about them.
It's not boring.
Voting a bunch of times. It's not.
Yeah.
It's like there's some mystery involved, a certain a certain someone from someone's past gets brought into the conclave area as like a server and
Mm-hmm.
causes a disruption, and you're like, oh, wait a second, did someone specifically send for this sister to show up to embarrass this other person who is
Mm-hmm.
also a front runner for the papacy? Who sent this sister? And like stuff like that. And you're trying to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not. And then at a certain point, Cardinal Lawrence starts getting votes, and
And he's not lobbying
you're
at
like,
all.
is he playing chess while everyone else
Yeah.
is playing checkers? And you're like, what? What's going on?
Yeah.
Who's gonna win?
Yeah. There's a lot of mystery and kind of detective work that you're trying to do in your head during this movie. Because, it's very misleading that Stanley Tucci at the beginning is like, I don't want it. I don't want it. And in the beginning you kind of believe him.
And later
A little
he's
bit.
and later he's like, "Oh, grow up. Of course we all want it."
Yeah, he says that to Lawrence.
Everybody has chosen their name that they're gonna take if they were pope,
Yeah.
and he's because he gets frustrated at a certain point that Lawrence is starting to take votes from him
Yeah.
because at the end of the day he is very concerned, more concerned about Cardinal Tedesco taking the papacy than I think he wants the papacy for himself. But he gets frustrated because that he really doesn't want that, and because the vote is getting split on the left, he's really worried about Tedesco taking the vote on the right. So good timing, I guess, with this movie, the election and all that.
Mm,
um
the United States. Yeah.
but I thought I was entertained. I thought it was really kind of exciting. And the other thing that I loved about this movie is how it was shot,
It was beautiful.
because they make no one's running around. There's no action. Like there's
No, it's a lot of standing and talking.
but there are so many beautiful shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like even that shot where they focus on the cigarette butts,
Mm-hmm. It's pretty.
you're like, geez, this guy has an eye
Yeah.
for making this look great. And it also helps that they get to recreate the Sistine Chapel
Mm-hmm.
and the Vatican and the grand like marble staircases and the pillars and all that. It's just a photogenic sort of thing to take still shots of, and he's really good at taking those still shots. So this is a pretty movie.
Oh,
How do we feel about Ray Fiennes as a best actor candidate for this?
I think he did such a good job. There is a certain, well, let's see. Throughout the whole movie, Lawrence is saying, I don't want to be Pope. Stanley Tucci, I'll help you become Pope. I'll back you, you know? And then it kind of comes out. Is this a spoiler? Him talking about his faith? Crisis of faith?
No, not really,
Okay. Because,
because it happens early on, and he doesn't try to hide it.
yeah.
He's going through it. He has recently undergone a faith crisis, Cardinal Lawrence, and basically was convinced to stay in Rome by the previous pope.
Because he's a good manager, pretty much, is how Lawrence Ray Fiennes describes what the previous pope said about him.
Yeah, yeah. But are you going to talk about the speech that he
Oh, you
gives?
should talk about it. It's good.
So he gives a speech at the beginning of the conclave, and it's a prepared statement, and he's doing it in Italian. By the way, before I forget, Ray Fiennes' pronunciation in Italian is pretty good.
Hmm.
His accent is really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But in the end, that doesn't matter nearly so much as your pronunciation. He pronounces the words clearly enough to, for someone who knows the language to understand what he was saying. So good job on that. Whoever coached him, and also him as well for getting that right. He sounds like an Englishman who has been living in Rome. But anyways, he gives a prepared statement in Italian, and then he goes off script for a little bit, and he talks about what he feels is important, for the church. And he says we should pray for a pope who doubts, because certainty is the enemy of progress. Certainty is the enemy of decency. Someone who is certain that they are right will do anything to achieve what they believe is right. And this is in a nutshell. I actually really liked what he had to say, because I was like, yeah, that makes sense to me. Like a lot of the problems in the world have come from people believing that they're right and someone else is wrong,
Hmm.
and now I'm going to go to war with you to prove that I'm right,
And seeing
or
absolutely nothing in gray.
or win the power to say that I'm right and have everyone follow me. And he even like brings up even Christ had a doubt. You know, Father, why hath thou forsaken me? He says on the cross. So I really liked that message. I thought that was really good. It's something that I personally vibe with that idea. Nobody knows for sure
Hmm.
what's on the other end of this life, and to pretend otherwise is not only kidding yourself, it's dangerous, I guess. It can be dangerous depending on how much influence you have, but also like it can be misleading and confusing to people here that are listening to you and that look up to you. So I really liked what he had to say. I fed with what he had to say. And this is really what gets him starts to get him votes. People start to see him in a different light, like, oh, okay, maybe this guy actually would be a good leader.
And this is where we were kind of like, does he want to
Yeah,
become Pope?
because
Because he's been so genuine, in our opinion,
seemingly,
seemingly,
yeah,
before this, in not wanting to be Pope and him saying, I'm having this, I tried to step down and all of this. And then he gives this amazing speech. And you start to wonder, what does he really want out of this? And I really wanted to believe
that he was.
that he didn't want the papacy.
But I was also getting ready to be impressed,
Right.
like by his game of chess, sort of like what happens at the end of Shogun. I guess spoilers for Shogun, but it turns out that Toranaga is not as innocent as he's been
Yeah.
leading everybody to believe, and he's always wanted to be the Shogun. So I was thinking like, oh, is this Catholic a Catholic version of that?
Yeah.
So it was gripping, honestly,
Yeah.
right? The ending, we're not going to talk details about the
No.
ending. I This is another one where I'm not sure if I like it or I dislike it. I like it in one aspect because it presents an interesting moral dilemma from the point of view of a,
A
a
higher up of the Catholic Church.
yeah, a
Right.
religious institution like the Catholic
Yeah.
Church. The reason I don't like it is it all feels like too much sort of happens all at once.
Right at the end.
Yeah, and then it just sort of ends. So jury is still out on that one for me. Is there anything you wanted to say other than that? Oh, the music is good.
Yeah.
It's very it's pretty much what you would expect from a movie like this. Lots of violin. It's like
Yeah.
as it's like zooming in on people walking and like,
Yeah.
the landscape shots. Really good though. Like
Yeah.
it works.
Uh,
Anything else you wanted
yeah,
to
I
talk
was
about?
reading some stuff that people said about the movie, and they were just, some people were upset that they're even talking about the Catholic Church, using the Catholic Church to make this movie, pretty much, right?
Yeah, you said this to me, and the argument just doesn't make any sense in
No.
my mind because I could see someone saying that about Heretic because the film is not really about the Mormon Church. They just they talk about the Mormon Church near the beginning, a little bit in the middle, but it's really not focused on the Mormon Church. So you could have thrown Jehovah's Witnesses in there, you could have thrown some other group in there.
What's the group that the oh, you never watched Edward Scissorhands? I'm sorry. Anyways, keep going. I couldn't think of what I was going to say.
Um, and so like I could see someone saying they're just using the Mormon Church to get people to watch it so that they can, get their political agenda across. I could see someone making that argument. I think it's dumb in that example too,
Yeah.
but I could see them making it. This one, that argument completely falls flat because this is about the conclave.
Yeah.
That's what this movie's about. It is about the Catholic Church. It's
Yeah.
about the Catholic Church and policy and the current world and the current climate. It's about the Catholic Church. They're not using the Catholic Church for shit. It
No.
is about the Catholic
Yeah.
Church. Male actor in a supporting role. Oh, there we go. Yeah, nothing for Stanley Tucci.
That's sad.
Yeah, Conclave got nominated for score.
Oh, nice. Anyways, I don't think that anything. Again, we're not Catholic. I didn't feel like they did a disservice to the Catholic Church. There's so many things that they could have brought up that would have made the Catholic Church look bad,
Yeah.
and they didn't.
There's the one thing that I could see Catholics being upset about potentially is the ending, which we'll talk about in spoilers. Um, but again, the way that it happens, I feel like I could see potentially it going down like that,
Except that,
given the right circumstances.
except according to policy, it wouldn't.
Okay, but given the
Right.
right set of circumstances,
Okay.
maybe I don't know. Like maybe that's something that they would be upset about, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Are you done for non spoiler?
Yes. Was there anything else that we talked about?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Okay, I would rate this an 8 probably. I think that it's really interesting. It's really entertaining. It's shot really well. Um, I don't think I'm gonna rewatch it very many times in my life. I feel like I've gotten everything I need to from from
Yeah.
from this movie. So yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it necessarily has the staying power, but I think it's a solid thriller,
Yeah, that's fair.
solid drama.
An eight
So
what?
I'll give it an 8 ridiculous robes out of 10.
I think I'm gonna rate this an 8.5, just because the cinematography amazing, the set design amazing,
Yeah,
the music, the acting, all of these things were amazing. But I agree, I don't think I'll watch this again. Maybe on a plane someday,
yeah.
I'd watch it.
8.5 what?
An 8.5 cigarette butts.
Tuchinator.
Nice. 9 of 10. Okay, so this is spoilers. I would definitely recommend watching this movie
It's
if you
PG
haven't.
as well.
Oh yeah, Parents Guide.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
But the funny thing about that is
It's not a kids movie. I mean,
yeah, I predict that even though like certain people will see that it's rated PG, they'll go in and watch it and be way more offended at the end than if they'd gone to see like a rated
rated
R
R movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Just because I just see that happening, and we'll get into why
Okay.
right now.
Yeah. Well, real fast. So again, spoilers.
So the twist at the end of this is Lawrence does not win the papacy, Bellini does not win the papacy, Tedesco does not win the papacy, Tremblay doesn't win, and Adeyemi doesn't win. It's this new Cardinal Benitez, the guy from we don't remember where. He's from South America or Mexico, can't remember which. Um,
But he's Hispanic, and
but he was nominated and promoted to being a cardinal sort of in secret by the previous pope,
mhm,
and he was sent to where was he?
Afghanistan,
Yeah, Kabul.
Kabul. I wanted to say
Yeah,
Kamala, but that didn't make
he
any
was sent to Kamala, Afghanistan.
Kabul,
Which like everybody's like,
Afghanistan.
what?
Yeah.
Very dangerous place to be a Christian, and especially a leader.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like somewhere else where he served his mission was super dangerous and
yeah,
controversial. Also, I can't
was it
remember.
Africa somewhere?
I want to. Yeah, I can't remember.
Um, so yeah, this new Cardinal Benitez ends up winning the papacy. He makes a speech at the end, turns some hearts and some minds to his cause, and big reveal is that and actually this wasn't done all at once. They foreshadow everything that's going on. Like he is introduced at the beginning. He's introduced as a potential player right at the very beginning. He Ray finds through the process of basically vetting the candidates and investigations into maybe reasons why they really shouldn't be Pope. Through investigations, he learns that Cardinal Benitez was scheduled to go to Zurich or was it Zurich? It was
In Switzerland
somewhere in Switzerland for a procedure.
to go to the
And
hospital.
so
That's
they had questions about his health. They find out at the very end the reason that he was going to go to Zurich was he was scheduled to have a laparoscopic hysterectomy, which is
a removal of the uterus.
yeah. So he was, and I like as soon as that happened, I was like big question mark over the top of my head because I was like, there's no way that they would let a trans person be a cardinal in the Catholic Church. He was born with a uterus
And
and
male genitalia.
and male genitalia. So he was born with both. And then I was like, oh, interesting, because he was already in the priesthood by the time he found out that he had a uterus, because he had a appendicitis. He went in,
Yeah.
they removed his appendix, and they found that he had a uterus. So he's already in. He's been in. He's been inducted into the priesthood. He's been carrying out his duties. He's thought he was a male all his life. And now all of a sudden, what happens to him
Right.
under the rules?
So I looked this up. Technically, under the rules, he should have been kicked out
Okay.
because they just don't allow that. And
Well,
so,
but is that written down somewhere, or is that because, like, like what's the rule? I want to see like the written rule, because he is a male,
yeah.
right? But he also has a uterus. So how does that work? Like, how does that work within the context of this patriarchal religion? And especially since he's already begun his percorso, his journey through the ranks of the Catholic Church, and he's reached cardinal.
Oh, this says yes, a cardinal can be intersex.
That's what I was wondering. Like,
But I thought that what I read before is that he couldn't have.
and like I
Like, this
under
might be talking about the bird.
oh yes, a cardinal can be intersex. Well, you heard it here. Micah is the authority.
Well,
Cardinals can be intersex,
the second
everybody.
article was talking about like the bird, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
That's hilarious.
This says if they're predominantly male, they could be a priest,
Uh-huh.
even if this was not advisable or even lawful.
They could be a priest. Could they rise higher than that? Like, I don't see why not. If you're letting them be a priest,
Yeah, I
why
don't know.
could they not be promoted eventually to cardinal, to pope? Like, the more I thought about it, I was like, why couldn't this happen? Because again, like, the precedent was set for his entire life that he was male. He's already in. He's gone through multiple steps. He's had multiple ministries. He's at the cardinal level, and now because we find out he has a uterus, would he be kicked out? Like, that doesn't seem like that doesn't really pass the sniff test, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
really seem right, because he's been this great servant of the church for his entire life, and he's given them no reason to want him gone until they find out he happens to have been born with a uterus. But he still has all of the male parts. So it's like, okay, yeah, like, what happens? What does the church decide to do? And I know that this is an extremely, like, this would never happen in reality, because people that are born intersex are very, very rare. I don't
Yeah.
know, it's like a percent of a percent. And then if you think about, of that percent of a percent, how many people would have happened to have been born Catholic? Okay, that narrows the field even further. How many of those people would decide to go into the clergy?
Yeah.
Even smaller. How many of those people would be promoted to priest? Even smaller. How many of
So
those
it's
would be promoted to
incredibly,
cardinal? Even
yeah,
smaller. And then how
incredibly
many
rare.
cardinals get promoted to pope? Even smaller. So, like, there's no way this would ever happen. If the earth existed forever and the Catholic Church existed forever, eventually it would happen, right? Because
Yeah.
infinity and whatnot. But in the time that earth will be around, inhabited by us, almost no way that this is happening. But it's still like a very interesting edge case to think about.
Yeah. From what I'm reading, it doesn't sound like it would happen.
Okay.
But it's also hard because he didn't know.
Like, okay, so you're saying once they find out, if this were to happen in real life, once they
I
find
think
out,
he would be kicked out.
completely kicked out.
I think because it just says because it's a gray area, right?
So
Because
so
he has outward male genitalia, but he has a uterus.
would he be excommunicated?
I don't know because it says only men can become.
Is he not a man?
That's what's hard, right?
He
He
has,
is,
because
but
they're
he
born with what? But he's born with X and Y, isn't he? Okay, people who are intersex may have a mix of chromosomes such as double XY, or they may have some cells that are XY and some that are XX, or they may just have one chromosome. Other combinations can occur too. What is XY intersex? People who are male have XY chromosomes. People who are female have XX. People who are intersex may have a mix of chromosomes. Chromosomes. That's a hard word to say when you're trying to parse inner information quickly on the internet. Yeah, so what's the definition? What's their definition of male? I guess that's more to the point. You know, is it XY chromosome? Is it has the male bits down south?
No, because it sounds like they wouldn't let someone that's transgender.
Okay. So yeah, what's the definition?
Right. I read a book a while ago talking about like what makes a woman,
Yeah.
and they talk about having a uterus. What about people that have a hysterectomy? Having boobs. What about people that have those removed for cancer? What about all of these things? And it comes down to, I guess, chromosomes, but it's also really hard because,
Because you can have this.
right.
This can happen. And again, I understand. Very fringe case. This almost never happens. But
It's interesting to talk
it's
about.
interesting to think about. What if it did?
Right. And they leave the movie kind of ambiguous, but it sounds like also at the same time Benitez is going to be the
X
Pope.
is going to, yeah, ascend. So it almost seems like it's something that Cardinal Lawrence is going to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Like he's not, because he's got his own like little investigator. Maybe that's a power he has as dean, and
Like,
it's the investigator that figures out that that's what he was going to
this is what it's
Zurich
going
for.
for. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It was interesting to think about, but it is sort of feeling like maybe Lawrence is going to be the one to take the papacy in the end. And then all of a sudden, Benitez makes a speech, and then Benitez wins. And not only does Benitez win, turns out Benitez is intersex. It's just sort of a lot that happens in 10 minutes when the rest of it has been more of a slow.
And very evenly paced.
Yeah. So that's why I don't know how I feel about the ending, even though it is interesting to think about the ending and like,
Yeah.
what would happen. But
Oh, that was a huge tangent.
yeah.
Okay. Feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other movie we watched,
Speaking of people that are born different,
we watched Wicked.
yeah, I get the feeling that I liked it the most out of the people we went with.
I think everyone, well, I guess we didn't get to talk to our friends after. But if you don't know the story of Wicked, it's kind of like a.
What if the Wicked Witch was actually the good guy?
Yeah.
And what if Glinda, it's weird that I know her as Galinda now instead of Glinda.
Yeah.
I actually think that, at least in the popular zeitgeist, Wicked has become the definitive version of that story.
Between the Wizard of Oz and
Yeah,
yeah.
don't you feel?
I definitely feel like
Like for film fans, that's a ridiculous thing to say. It's always going to be the Wizard of
Wizard of
Oz.
Oz.
But I'm saying, like, in the popular mindset
Yeah.
of the masses,
It's Wicked.
Wicked is probably the definitive version at this point.
Yeah.
The version that more people love. Let's say,
Yeah. Yeah.
including me. I'll raise my hand and say I don't love the Wizard of Oz. I do really like the musical Wicked. So yeah, this movie. I mean,
Do we need to say what it's about?
it's what if the Wicked Witch was good?
Oh, okay.
The origin story of the Wicked Witch,
Okay.
and Glinda and her are actually friends growing up, and
Yeah, okay, yeah.
just sort of a fresh take on the Wizard of Oz story without Dorothy. Minus Dorothy, she's not really a player in Wicked at all. There's a lot to like about this movie, in my opinion. The sets are really really good.
Yeah.
The CGI is mostly not noticeable. There were a couple of times where I could tell that it was CGI, but like the Emerald Train, for example, looks really good.
Was that CGI?
I don't think so. I think I heard that
Huh.
was practical.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
And like, the Emerald City looks really good, and the whole thing that it all just mostly looks really good. The animals look good.
The acting, I would say the singing is really good.
Excellent.
I would say it's really good. I don't think it's excellent.
Really.
Yeah.
I thought that Cynthia Erivo, is that her name? The one that plays Alphaba?
Yeah.
Elphaba? I thought she was great.
I think from what I've heard from other people is that they thought that her singing was really good, but not as full as people would have liked.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Well, again, untrained, untrained ear over here.
Yeah.
I thought she sounded really good. Um, the one actually, I have two singing complaints. One of them is Michelle Yeoh should not be in this movie. She can't sing. Um,
Erivo. Is that what
uh,
you said?
oh, I was pretty close. I think I said Rebo. Jeff Goldblum surprisingly can kind of sing too. Like
Yeah.
he's got a obviously a quirky voice as you would imagine, but he's not
Uh-huh.
bad. Michelle Yeoh straight up can't do it. She cannot do it.
Did she sing?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Oh.
And I really don't want this to come off as offensive, but the way that Wicked is written, they have funny words, like funny pronunciations of words, and it's supposed to be like a joke. Like you're like, "Oh, that's funny."
That they did
They
that.
made their own little word. Michelle Yeoh has such a thick accent that it sounds like she's just mispronouncing the word when she does that. And I I personally I like heard it and I was like, "Oh wait, no, that's how it's written." But it didn't land because of how thick her accent is. So I just felt like she was the wrong choice to play the
Who would you have chosen instead? Meryl Streep.
yeah, that actually immediately came to my mind because
As I said it, same thing.
because she can sing, can't she?
Probably.
I think she can. Hang on, let's look this up. I'm curious. Or Kate Blanchett, or long history of singing on screen. Yeah, Mamma Mia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So Meryl Streep would have been great. I feel like Kate Blanchett would have been great. I feel like Helen Mirren would have been great. Like, I don't know. Michelle Yeoh is a great actress. She's excellent in Everything Everywhere All at Once. She's excellent in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Crazy Rich Asians.
This is not the movie for her, in my opinion. Not the role for her, at least. The other singing complaint I have is there were times where Ariana Grande does that really, really high
Pitch.
pitched. That's not falsetto,
Vocal.
is it?
Just singing really high pitched.
Where I could not understand what the she was saying,
Uh,
and I didn't like that so much. It felt like more of a show offy sort of let's show off Ariana Grande's voice,
vocal
but
range.
I want to hear what she's saying. That's really important in a musical
Yeah.
to tell the story through the lyrics, and that kind of bothered me.
Yeah. Well, Brayden's other complaint during the movie is the opening scene. She goes into Munchkin Land, and the whole town is singing. And then she's like, they're both singing and
Yeah,
stuff. And Brayden's like, I don't think Ariana Grande is singing, like
uh,
live, technically,
it
in
didn't.
the recording, in the
Yeah,
filming right there. But it sounds like all of the townsfolk are.
yeah. I wish that it had been all live, but I stopped noticing that as the movie
Yeah.
went on. Like it was just right at the beginning, so it didn't really bother me after that. A lot of the musical numbers feel way too drawn out.
Oh, really? Some of them I felt like they were too short.
Well, yeah, but like for example, the opening one and then Defying Gravity at the end, there's too many pauses
Yeah. I
in
wish,
between so it
yeah.
doesn't hit as hard as it does when you watch the play.
Especially Defying Gravity.
Yeah, cuz by the way, guys, we have seen the play live. Not on Broadway, but on the West End in London.
Yeah.
So
And that
be jealous of our travels.
and that was the first time I'd ever seen this
Yeah.
Wicked. And, you know, where we saw it, the setting, we were in the front row, all of this
Oh, it
stuff.
was so
It was
good.
like the perfect
It was
experience.
so good.
And every time I will see Wicked, I will always be comparing it to that because I just loved every second of it.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why I didn't love this movie as much, but it was still really good.
Yeah. I wish that it
I just
wasn't.
had the perfect first experience.
We're being kind of negative right now, I feel like. At least I am. But it was very good.
It
And
was super enjoyable.
yeah. And I'll say that the guy that they got to play Fiero in this.
He plays one of the sons from Bridgerton, Anthony.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
He's way better than the actor we saw in the West End, in my opinion.
In the play.
He's got way more charm and charisma.
He does have a ton of charm.
Oh my goodness. And that what's Dancing Through Life?
Yeah.
That was the best musical number in this movie in my opinion. Like because there's no real breaks. The breaks that are there are perfectly funny and charming, and they're short and sweet just like the breaks should be. And then the set that they're in is so cool. It's like
Yeah.
this rotating hall,
Library where it's like a hamster wheel, but like
books.
books,
And
and
so
it's
they're
so
like
cool.
rotating the books and like making them fall and catching them and throwing them, and
Yeah.
it's like it's just so good. That's, in my opinion, that was by far the best musical number.
There's a part in that at the beginning of that song where they're in a library and he's talking too loud in the library and he's like shh.
Yeah.
And he goes over and he like starts dancing and singing with the librarian and then he gives her a kiss on the forehead.
Yeah.
That was like the funniest part of this
Yeah.
movie, I thought.
The other musical number I really liked was The Wizard and I, the one where she gets accepted into school,
Yeah.
and then she's, because again, like it's just a pure musical number,
Yeah.
and it's choreographed really well. This whole movie is shot really well. When the musical numbers are allowed to be what they are, what they should be, they really work,
Yeah.
and they mostly work even when there are too many breaks. I just wish, especially for Defying Gravity, that they'd kept that one a little more simple, a little more pure, because that's probably the best song in Wicked, right?
I
It's
think,
one of them.
well, and I love Popular, but yeah. Back to the very beginning. There were, like I said, I've only seen this once before in play, in musical form, and there were just certain lines that I felt like I remember being delivered really well from the musical that that they didn't do here. So, like, in the very beginning of the movie, when Glinda is talking to Munchkin Land people, and one of the townspeople is like, Glinda, did you know the witch? Were you friends with the witch? In the play, I remember them delivering the line like, yeah, I knew her from
We
college.
went to uni together.
Yeah, we went to uni together. And I remember thinking that was so funny, and I was waiting for her to say that. And it just wasn't the same.
No, it wasn't.
They didn't
Well,
deliver the line the same, and it wasn't written the same. And just,
here's the here's the other thing, the other sticking point. I don't think Ariana Grande is that great
of an actress or a singer.
actress. Singer, that's beyond reproach. She can sing.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. But when Alphaba gets those lines in this movie, they work and they're funny. Like, do you remember in Popular when she like goes boo and scares?
Yeah.
The way that she laughs is so infectious, and
Yeah.
it's like a stupid, like it's not even a funny little,
Moment. It's not even,
but the
yeah.
way she laughs totally sells
Yeah.
it. She can act. Ariana Grande can't do stuff like that. She just can't.
Yeah.
So like she doesn't really have, and especially compared to Kristen Chenoweth, who played Glinda in the original
Okay.
play, she's not nearly as charming and as good of an actress as Kristen Chenoweth was. And there's a part where Kristen Chenoweth and Adina Menzel show up. It's in the Emerald City.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a cameo. Like they make little cameos. They're not important characters, but I remember seeing them and being like, "Oh, that's fun. I like that. I wish Kristen Chenoweth was young enough to play Glinda now."
That's fair.
Not to say that Ariana Grande is bad. I don't think she's bad. I just think that surely there were better options.
Yeah. Well, it's been a discussion from the moment that it was announced that it was Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
That people were confused, and some people were excited, but a lot of people were confused or mad or all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Because she can do the singing, but you need.
yeah,
Wicked is more than that. You need.
punchy lines
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Again, she's not bad. She's serviceable. There are some moments of hers that made me chuckle, like when she tells Elphaba the secret and Elphaba won't.
That part was so
Yeah,
funny.
she just goes over to the bed and just like flops
down
on it, and then like peeks over her shoulder.
to see if Elphaba is paying attention to her.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me if I just completely missed this in the play.
Okay.
Remember when Elphaba shows up at the college, the university, and they're talking about her skin, and Glinda is like, I can fix you. I'm going to become a sorceress and I'll fix you. Were they always talking about race?
What do you mean?
The way that it was presented in the movie, it was very thinly veiled talking about
Yeah.
race, in my opinion. Is that how it's always been
well,
and I missed it?
I mean, the whole point of Wicked is they don't trust her because she's different. They don't like her because she's different. She looks different than them.
Maybe I'm just dumb. I just thought that it was because she had green skin. Are they always okay? Is that dumb? Is that dumb of me to say?
Well, I mean, it is a metaphor, right?
I guess I just didn't think about it before until this one, and then I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's about accepting other people, and
okay,
like it even the animals, right?
yeah.
Trying to control the.
I guess it was just more obvious, and I guess I needed that this time.
But I don't think that part. I don't remember that part was in the play. Maybe it is. It could be specifically her saying that she could cure her greenness.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess that was dumb of me. But like I said, I've only seen this once before.
There's not much to say apart. I feel like we've said everything, right?
Well, it's hard when this is such a well-known story. Also,
There's not any spoilers, right?
no, not really.
Oh, okay. Um, this does not need to be a 3 hour movie split into
But
two
what
parts.
would they have cut? I
So
was thinking
they
about
they
this.
they could probably have shaved 20 minutes off of how elongated some of those musical numbers were. So there's 20 minutes right there. That cuts it down to 2 hours and 20. But like I'm saying, the play is 3 hours, and
With intermission.
this is only half the play.
Yeah.
How did they do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, the whole like backstory with Elphaba and her dad and
That was
her.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an addition.
Yeah, I will say I was surprised. And we were talking about this after we saw it, and I guess I just don't remember this from the play. At the beginning of the movie, it's talking about how Elphaba's mom had an affair. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of spicy. And there were like little kids sitting next to us. I was like, and people are bringing their kids? And then it wasn't actually as spicy as I thought it was. And apparently I just forgot
Yeah,
it from
that definitely
the
happens in the play.
play.
Like this is an adult play, right? It's not it's the Wizard of Oz, yes, but it's dealing with heavier themes, and there's that little affair bit at the beginning, and etc etc.
Yeah. So are we saying no spoilers? Because I have something that I want to talk about from the beginning.
Well, we should rate it first if you want to talk about spoilers,
Okay, I
because
just wanted to talk about the very end.
that's the format of our cast now.
Okay.
Do you want to rate it?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rate this. Wait, I'm not done talking about this. I really loved the popular song. Also, and like the choreography I really liked for it. I think that was my favorite part though of
Really?
the popular song was the choreography for that song.
I didn't like it as much as the play version.
Right, the music. But I thought that the choreography for it was really good in this movie.
La, la, la,
And like when
la.
Elphaba is laying on the ground and Ariana Grande is like pushing herself in like a circle around Elphaba, I thought that was fun. I don't know. I really liked that song.
Okay. But again, like the way that Kristen Chenoweth sings it
Sure.
is like that's the version I guess grew up on in quotes. I didn't
Yeah.
really listen to the music of this play until I was like older teenager. So grew up on is kind of a generous term to use, but just the way that she a specific example is when she says, when you think of celebrated heads of state or especially great communicators, did they have brains or knowledge? And in the
Oh yeah.
and in the play version, she's like, "Don't make me laugh. They were popular,
Yeah.
please." And it's like way more fun
Yeah.
than the way that Ariana Grande did it, which is a bummer because Glinda was literally half the show of the
Yeah.
original, and in this one, I feel like Elphaba is maybe 70% the show.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm ready to rate it now.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'm gonna rate this a 8.5 talking animals. I really enjoyed it. I think, we talked about some of the things already that were not perfect, but I am interested to see how they finish it.
Yeah, we'll
Part
watch it.
two, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was definitely it's definitely worth seeing in theaters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just the whole experience, but please don't sing in the theater.
No.
Don't do that. It just ruins it for other people.
If you sing, I'll check my phone and turn the brightness all the way up
And your ringer on?
and make sure you can see it. And I'll do it so many times, everyone around me will get mad too, and I'll feel bad about that. But I'm doing it for you who's singing. And I'll keep doing it until you ask me to stop, and then I'll say, well, can you please shut the up? And then we'll shake hands and agree to stop being annoying in the theater.
Okay. You now. You now go.
Me now, I go. Um, I actually, I said I liked it more than everyone we went with, but I'm gonna give it a lower score, I think, than you did. But it's good. I just don't think that I'll ever find myself watching. Like, if I want to see some Wicked, I have a feeling that I'm gonna just search for the production, like a video of the production, because that's just what I prefer. But I don't know. I'll give this an 8. I'll give it an 8. An 8 really cute little lions.
I know.
Oh my gosh, he's a cute little guy. But parents guide, parents, keep your kids away from this movie. It's devilish, and
Of
and
Satan.
it's satanic and
Sorcery.
yes,
And...
ew, sorcery. Don't let them watch it. Don't let them watch Harry Potter. Don't let them watch Lord of the Rings. Don't let them watch Narnia. Sorcery is bad. It's just Snow White is not okay either. She poisons an apple through magic, which is just a perversion of nature. So, yeah, parents, keep your kids away from this. Yuck. Anyway, you had spoilers to talk about?
Yeah. I feel like I remember. So, the end of the movie, Elphaba leaves because she's now the Wicked Witch, and Glinda stays. I felt like in the play, they actually had a discussion about why, there was a reason why she stayed.
Why Galinda stayed?
Yeah. And they didn't talk about that at all. It just, in the movie, they made it sound like she wanted to go and then got stuck. Or she was torn about going, but thinking about going and about to make the decision to go, and then she got captured.
Galinda?
Yeah.
No, she always chose to stay.
But she
It'll
looked more conflicted in the movie, and I felt like
more conflicted?
conflicted about staying it or going.
Oh,
And I feel like
in the
in the
play.
play they had a discussion about why she was staying, and I can't remember what the reason was.
Um,
She was gonna spread the good word about Elphaba. I can't
she
remember.
doesn't think. I mean, it's kind of in the lyric because at the beginning of that song she says, "I hope you're happy that you've hurt your cause forever. I hope you think you're clever." Right?
In which song?
Defying Gravity. That's how it starts.
Uh,
And so she is more of a pragmatist, I guess, if you want to call her that. But she's also sort of afraid of rocking the boat. That's her personality as
yeah,
well. She, yeah, that's why she stays.
but they don't talk about it really.
I feel like you can infer it.
I just felt like in the play it was more of a discussion, and I feel like I liked that better
Hmm.
than it. Because to me, it just felt kind of ambiguous about why she stayed.
Yeah, maybe she just really likes emeralds.
But she likes pink.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's quite sharp, don't you think? Black. Is this yours, pink?
You're gonna get us copyrighted.
Yeah, probably. I sound just like her.
You feel good?
Yeah. I mean, again, I can't reiterate enough. Parents, keep your kids away from
Oh my
this. They will
gosh.
be dragged speedily down to hell if they watch this, as will you. And actually, the crazy thing is, it's contagious. So even if we touch you after having seen this movie, you'll actually turn green and you'll become a servant of the devil. That's so, you know, us lost souls were okay because what else can happen? But you pure Christian soldiers out there, stay away from this.
Okay. What do we have coming up?
So the penguin I still need to talk about.
All right.
The bike riders,
All right.
which I think,
We might watch together again.
yeah. Anything else?
Well, maybe a moment in time.
What's that?
The Florence Pugh movie. I
Oh,
watched that.
with
Andrew
Garfy,
Garfield. Yeah, Andrew Garfy.
young Garfy.
Andy Garfy.
The freaking kitten Garfield from the new Garfield movie. We just have seen the trailers. He's so
I
cute.
know, he's so cute.
He's
Little Garfy.
yeah, his huge
I
eyes.
know.
He's just an orange one.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great week, everybody. Bye.